Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking the seemingly complex science of pharmacology and turning it into, well, an epic biological adventure. Think about the last time you took a pill for a headache. You swallowed it, and a little while later you felt better. But what on earth happens in between? Today, we're following our microscopic hero, the active pharmaceutical ingredient, on its absolute gauntlet of a quest through the human body.
So think about this for a second. Why do some medicines require a needle while others just need a quick glass of water? It's kind of something we take for granted, right? But the route a drug takes completely changes the treacherous path it has to survive just to do its job. Some drugs are super fragile and need a direct VIP escort, while others are built tough enough to survive the absolute chaos of your digestive tract. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the anatomy of a pill, brave the oral drug gauntlet, try to survive the liver checkpoint, look at the express lanes, and finally explore some highly specialized biological shortcuts. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Anatomy of a pill. Gearing up the hero. You know what's crazy? The active drug, the actual stuff curing your headache, is usually just a tiny, tiny fraction of the pill you swallow. The rest of the pill is made up of what we call excipients. These guys literally do the heavy lifting to solubilize, stabilize, and protect our hero. Binders, which are usually saccharides or proteins, hold the whole thing together. Coatings act like physical armor against your body's harsh environment or, protect your taste buds from the nasty bitter drug itself. Disintegrants are absolutely crucial because they basically act as a self-destruct mechanism to help the pill break apart when it hits the water in your stomach. And colors, they just make it look a bit friendlier. It's a fully equipped transport vehicle. Now, all of this high-tech armor serves one ultimate purpose. The entire goal of our hero's quest is this concept called bioavailability. In plain English, this is just the fraction of the dose you took that actually successfully makes it into your systemic circulation, your bloodstream. Because think about it, if a drug doesn't reach your blood, it can't reach the site of action, and it definitely can't help you. Section 2. The oral drug gauntlet, a treacherous path. Just look at this intimidating physical map of the human digestive system. Wow. You can immediately see the massive obstacle course the pill faces. It drops down the esophagus and straight into a highly acidic stomach, essentially an acid pit with a pH of 1 to 3. And if it somehow survives that acid bath, it still has to wind its way through meters upon meters of intestines. It's a highly variable environment where absorption depends on everything from stomach emptying time to whether or not you just ate a huge meal. So to survive this whole gut gauntlet and actually reach the blood, a solid tablet has to rapidly execute 3 very specific steps before it just, gets flushed out the other end. First up, it must disintegrate, physically breaking down into smaller chunks. Second is dissolution, meaning those little particles have to dissolve into an aqueous solution. And finally, membrane penetration. It actually has to absorb through the gut wall. If it can't dissolve, or if the chunks are too big, game over. It's a literal chemistry puzzle in there. Just check out these numbers. A drug's absorption is heavily dictated by its environment. Take salicylic acid, which is a weak acid. It gets absorbed mostly in that highly acidic stomach, right around 61%. But then look at aniline, a weak base. In that exact same stomach acid, it's only getting 6% absorption. It literally has to wait until it hits the slightly less acidic intestines to reach its 61% mark. Every single drug has to be engineered perfectly to absorb in the exact right location. Moving on to Section 3, surviving the liver checkpoint, the ultimate bouncer. Here's the real kicker. Even if our drug somehow survives the hostile environment of the gut, it still has to face the body's absolute ultimate bouncer, the liver. See, blood coming from your stomach and small bowel doesn't just go straight to your heart or your brain. No, it gets intercepted by the portal vein and routed directly into the liver. Through what we call the first pass effect, the liver heavily filters this blood. Its metabolizing enzymes can destroy a massive chunk of the drug before it ever has a chance to reach the rest of your body. Because of these biological bouncers, the stomach acid, the gut walls, the liver enzymes, pharmacologists have to calculate the effective dose. To put that into perspective, if you swallow a 100 milligram tablet with a bioavailability of 0.8, that means 20% of it was just completely destroyed or lost along the way. Only 80 milligrams is effectively making it to your systemic circulation to actually treat you. They have to mathematically account for this gauntlet when deciding how big of a pill you need in the first place. Which brings us to Section 4, taking the express lane, parenteral routes. Once you realize how grueling the oral route actually is, you really start to appreciate the cheat codes of drug delivery. Injections.
Pitting these two express lanes against each other, IV or intravenous, goes straight into the blood. We're talking 100% bioavailability because it completely bypasses every absorption barrier. It's built for pure emergency speed. On the other hand, intramuscular, or IM, uses muscle tissue to deploy slightly slower. It's still prompt, but it lets us use moderate volumes of oily or irritating substances that your fragile veins just couldn't handle. By bypassing the gut entirely, a simple shot straight into the deltoid muscle of the shoulder creates this localized drug reservoir. Because it's injected right into the tissue, it absorbs promptly into the circulation, completely avoiding that liver bouncer we just talked about. The first pass effect is totally gone. Actually, this is exactly why vaccine doses are so incredibly small compared to oral pills. When you bypass the liver, every single drop counts. Finally, Section 5. Lungs, skin, and beyond. Specialized shortcuts. Beyond needles, bioengineers have found some beautifully clever ways to sneak our hero into the fortress. Let's look at the skin. For a transdermal patch to work, the drug literally has to punch through the stratum corneum, that incredibly thick defensive wall you can see right at the top layer of the skin here. It's a formidable barrier, for sure. But if the drug breaches the dermis, boom, it enters the blood vessels below, again, totally bypassing the gut and liver. Or consider the lungs. Using an inhaler is basically a breathtaking game of microscopic precision. The alveolar space deep down in your lungs gives us a massive surface area of 50 to 80 square meters for super rapid absorption. But getting there, extremely tough. Particles between 5 and 30 micrometers just end up getting swallowed. 1 to 5 micrometers stuck in the trachea. You literally need particles smaller than a single micrometer to successfully reach that deep alveolar space where they're instantly absorbed into the blood. So when you pull back the curtain and look at the acid pits of the stomach, the metabolizing bouncers of the liver, and those microscopic skin barriers, isn't it an absolute marvel of engineering that a tiny pill can cure your headache at all? The next time you take a simple dose of medicine, I hope you remember the epic, beautifully structured biological journey it takes just to help you feel better. It kind of makes you wonder, too, as bioengineering keeps advancing, will we eventually just design microscopic nanobots that completely bypass these natural barriers altogether? Food for thought. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.